here once again on the show. He is no stranger to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and that's Marcus Coleman, who joins me once again from Syracuse Orange football history, speaking on the new leadership at Syracuse University and more. Marcus, how are you this morning?
Dan, I am doing amazing. Feeling good. It's always great to be back on your broadcast. And like you shared, there's a lot of new going on at Syracuse, also a lot of exciting things, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to our great discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And always looking forward to speaking with you and getting your thoughts on all of these pieces. Always appreciate our conversation. So I do want to start where I said we would, which is to speak on your journey. I had Shamarko Thomas on the broadcast yesterday, and he spoke with me about life after football. And, sometimes it's hard for an athlete to think about that, be it a professional athlete or a student athlete coming out of college or out of high school, that sport might be the one thing that you've done, the one thing that you've trained for, the one thing you've focused on for, years upon years, decades even. And life after that is something that can be a struggle when you're so used to going toward that one goal. So I heard Shamarko's thoughts on it. I'd love to hear yours on your journey and what life has been like after football.
Yeah, and I first want to comment on I had the privilege of watching Shamarko play. He was an upperclassman when I was a freshman,
Yeah.
and he was a true leader on and off the field. Shamarko worked out 5, 6 times a day. He really set the precedent for all of us that wanted to achieve something great, whether it was at Syracuse or even get to the next level. But yes, this is something that is very common for athletes, no matter what sport you play. It takes a large amount of time to become successful, especially if you make it to the Division I level. It's not just your talent that got you there. There's a lot of discipline from your workouts, film study, your nutrition, and also it becomes your identity. Like I can even think about after I graduated from college, it was several years removed, and people would still go, "Oh, Marcus Coleman, a football player," right?
Yeah.
And it is such a large part of your life, and it's a hard transition from one, your schedule, right? Like you said, it could be for decades. You've been doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Wake up, work out, watch film, hang out with your guys, watching football again, maybe playing NCAA, right? So your whole life, you know what you need to do. It's comfortable and it's had led to a lot of success. And then you have to transition out of that and you have to, one, deal with, you have a new identity.
Yeah.
Two, what is something out there in the world that you're going to have that same passion and zest for? And that's really hard to find because it took me a long time to find what was that next thing that I could still have that same energy about and passion every day. Even when you don't want to do it, it's just okay. This is something I love. I want to get after it.
Yeah, and I can't help but think, I mean, when it's cuz it's weird, right? I mean, like I'm living my dream and I wanted to broadcast. It's one of the things I wanted to do. There's a lot of things I want to do, but I'm living it. And, God puts air in my lungs and wakes me up in the morning. I get to do this, right? For the rest of my life. But so I could be doing this at 90. Whereas if you're a professional athlete, it stops at some point, and a lot of times there's so much life after that, right? You might be 28 years old, 32 years old, 40 years old, and you're thinking, I might be on this planet for the next 50 years, 60 years, so what am I going to do? Do you feel like you mourn a loss? Does it kind of ache you?
Absolutely. It was true grief. Like I talked to a lot of the young guys, but also my friends that I played with at Syracuse about mental health, really reaching out to a therapist because it is something big that you are transitioning. Like it's a new life for you.
Yeah.
And also it's a loss of an identity. Now you can still stay a part of the game like I do, like doing football camps, um, serving at nonprofits that benefit student athletes. But you have to really go through that process of, okay, that old version of you is no longer there, which is nothing wrong with that. Like we are humans. We're supposed to evolve. Um, but it is something that is hard for a lot of people. It was hard for me. And just speaking for my friend group without sharing names, it was hard for a lot of them as well. But the thing that got us through it was the support. We had each other, and it helped us get through those tough times of, I mean, what is my purpose in life now, right? I mean, it was football, but I don't know, and that is a tough thing mentally to deal with.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you do things like camps and different pieces where you can pay it forward and whatnot. How did you get through it? When you talk about mourning a loss, grieving, and feeling that something you poured your blood, sweat, and tears to, mind, body, heart, and soul into for however many years, how did you get through? Like, I have to be okay that I'm not going to be on the field.
Yes. So the first thing, like I shared, was community. So going to my peers that are going through something similar, but then also going to the older generation that has already went through it and reaching out to them and seeing, hey, how did you transition? What was it like? What tools did you implement to get you through that? And that has been extremely helpful. The second thing, Dan, that you know is my faith. I'm a Christian, and I share with the guys, no matter what your religious affiliation is, having that faith system really gets you through the hard times. And that's what really got me through, right? So for me, I always reminded myself, God is there with me. God created me for something more than just football. Football was a platform that allowed me to gain some influence, gain some experiences. But that was one of the chapters in my book, and that I'm on to something new. And that was all preparation. So that got me through. And then the last thing was staying connected to the game. Uh, Being able to give back is something that's huge. So you see it a lot. A lot of ex-athletes, they become trainers, they become coaches, they might become mentors. Staying close to it, but I would say that was one of the biggest things for me because it allowed me to slowly heal and allow me transition into my new identity without it being so abrupt.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, finding a way and having that community, having people with similar things that they're going through, talking with a therapist, working through those issues, utilizing your resources, and then staying connected to the game in some way. I think it's important because I talk with so many of you and I built friendships with so many of you that, play this beautiful game, and I see you as people. And as you know, you're on the show years and years after you play, and so I want to be a bridge, and I want to, be able to give that piece and always keep that spotlight on you all. And at the same time, I'm hoping that you have that piece because, growing up as a kid, there was no mental health anything. Not for me. I mean, it was suck it up, deal with it, stop being a wimp. I mean, I can't tell you how many times it's like, well, you're a man, you can't cry, you can't feel, you can't say anything about how you feel, you can't talk through your problems, you can't show weakness, you can't have a bad day. And I just think it's funny how here we are in 2026 and the man in America gets attacked. But I'm like, wait a minute, we've been told to shut up for decades upon decades, and now we're being told that we're not allowed to be ourselves and be masculine and be proud of that. So I'd love to get your take on that side of it too, is that like as a man, there wasn't a lot of mental health anything for men or women. But then on top of that, we were told as men, suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah. And so I was really thinking about your question that you brought up. I was really thinking about how I can articulate if a question like this came up. So for me, my background, I grew up in a very humble background. I grew up in Camden, New Jersey. And to give context for people that don't know about Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey is right outside of Philadelphia. And in 2008, it was the murder capital of America. Now, the city has changed drastically. It hasn't had a homicide in this past summer, the first time in 50 years. I bring this up because football was my outlet to process the trauma around me. So the ability to get that anger out, dominate another person every day was something I was using to cope with the trauma that I had from my environment. When football ended, I realized even with the hard workouts, I still didn't have that outlet. And that's when it clicked to me, hey, I need to talk to a therapist to see, hey, how do I process this healthy now that I don't have this outlet that I use a large part of my life? And a lot of the athletes that are my friends, ones that I talk to now, they use their sport as their mental health. You go out there, you get your anger out, you win, you get that kudos, you're good. It wears off, you go to the next practice, the next game, you get that recharge again, and it continues. And then when after football happens, and you see it a lot of people go, oh, especially with football, oh, this guy must have CTE. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying this person didn't have CTE or not. But what I see is they lost that outlet that they had, that they were using to process whatever trauma or maybe whatever underlying mental health issue, and then it's gone at the same time processing the loss of identity. And you see it really impact their lives, whether it's impulsive spending, making public statements that don't align to their brand of how people know them, or they self-isolate. So mental health, I will scream at the rooftops, even if someone calls me soft for talking about mental health, because I've seen how addressing my mental health has made me a better person, a better professional, a better sibling, a better son, and overall a better person for my community. So I'm a champion of it.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And, we need that. We need people to talk about it and to discuss it. I mean, I've discussed on this show for many, many years. If there's something on my mind, something I care about, something I feel, that we can be better at. We do the ingredients to success every week. We do the annoying moment of the week. We do LEAD, which is learn, evolve, ad lib, and deliver is what the acronym stands for. So I'm always challenging myself to think about one of my weaknesses and then
Yeah.
talk about it. And to say, like, this is not just a topic for today. Like, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to talk to me. And, I think it's important to put your money where your mouth is. My mom tells me all the time, like, don't be that person that goes on the air and has really good advice and you don't take it.
Mm.
So, I think that that's huge, and it's really important. And on this journey that you've had, Marcus, to self-awareness, self-realization, and everything that you've been through, what can you say about little Marcus growing up in Camden to the man that's sitting here today? What are you most proud of in the evolution of your life?
I will say the little Marcus and the Marcus that you see today, there's one thing that's common, is delusionally optimistic. So even as a kid, right, no matter what the environment I was in, I really believed that I can achieve anything, right? And that is what really got me through. And that gets a lot of athletes through, right? To become a D1 athlete, you're a part of that 1%. Then if you become a professional athlete, I mean, you're less than that 1%. You have to be delusional to really believe that you're going to be that 1% that does it. So I would say that that's something that's common, but I would say something that I really changed a lot since little Marcus to big Marcus is really having that confidence, um, that true confidence. So it's easy to have that bravado, but do you truly believe in yourself behind closed doors? That's where I really have grown,
No.
having that positive self-talk. Um, and then I mean, just to summarize it, I think little Marcus will be proud. You know, there were definitely some adversities on the way, where sometimes like I don't know what's going to happen. Like I I hope this all works out, but it looks pretty dark. But I would say right now, little Marcus would be happy with big Marcus because of perseverance. No matter what happened to me, I continue to go, and I know there's going to be more adversity in my future. But just knowing that if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, you can't control the timing, but things happen for people that keep moving.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. You know, they say, why does this person appear to be so lucky? And it's like, it's it's not luck. It's faith. It's hard work. It's belief. It's dedication. It's determination. It's, you know, like you said, I mean, we all have to be a little bit crazy when we go out and do this. I mean, I tell people all the time when they say, how did you build your company? I said, God and I in the trenches. We molded the air in front of us. That was it. Like, I didn't, there was no microphone. There was no, here's the equipment. There was no, here's the software. Here's everything set up for you. Here's a radio signal. Here's a financial backer. There was none of that. It was 26, you know, I was 26 years old. It was 27 cents in my pocket, $103 in my bank account, an idea, a vision, a mission, a desire. I was living with my grandmother, taking care of her so that she didn't have to go to a nursing home. And I just got to a point where I was tired working for people that lied to me, that were deceitful, that didn't appreciate the work that I did, that didn't really care if I was on the air or not. And I just jumped. I just jumped. And there was never a, you know, if there was a moment of, do I think I can, I would have failed. You know, if there was a moment of, well, am I sure? I mean, I would have failed.
Yep.
You know, and it's funny because my aunt said this to my mom years ago. She said, I wish Daniel had the confidence in all other sectors of his life that he has when it comes to his dreams. Because she said there's pieces of his life where he is so worried and fearful and thinks he's not good enough. And then he walks into a room full of reporters and he doesn't think anybody's better than him. And he'll walk right to the front, sit in the front, ask the questions. And he could care less if ABC, ESPN, you know, Fox and everybody's sitting in there. It doesn't matter. And she's like, why don't you carry that? Like, you have that inside of you when it comes to your dreams. So why don't you carry that with every dream, with every aspiration, that you're Dan Tortora. There's nobody in the room better than you. You are a catch. You are a prize. You should know who you are. And you should know that if you're in a room with somebody, you're bringing something to the table. If they kick you out of the room, it's their loss, not yours. So I just find that interesting that my aunt said that to my mom, that she was like, he would be unstoppable if he could take what he gives to his dreams and aspirations and put it in every sector of his life.
Mm.
And I wonder if you ever felt that way about football.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Dan, I still remember one of the last times we spoke, you shared your story, and it's like the true personification of self-determination. Like, I mean, like you said, like you didn't have big backers, you just knocked on doors. I mean, I remember you talking about the Lemoyne thing before it even happened. Like, you manifested it. And yeah, when it came to football, like I shared, I was delusionally optimistic, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know where it came from. I
Yeah.
I wish I say I did some like mental jujitsu and I figured out how to make my brain this way.
Yeah.
It was just like I visualized it. I knew like I would like this is going to happen. Like, I told myself. Now, something I did learn later on after reading a lot of different books is your self-identity dictates your actions.
Yeah.
So if you truly believe you are the best reporter or you are the best football player out there, it's impossible for your actions every day not to align. Because if your actions don't align to your self-identity,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to beat yourself up.
Yeah.
You want to confirm to the world who you believe you are. So you will put in those extra hours. to perfect your craft. You will reach out to people that's already in the industry, pick their brains, see how they've done it. And that is something that I do stress now to the younger kids that I mentor is no matter how many resources I give you, no matter how many books I tell you to read, how many experiences I provide, until you believe you are what you want to be, you're not going to achieve it.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, you have to see it. You have to envision it. You have to believe it. And I mean, that's with anything. It's with relationships romantically, it's with friendships, it's with family, it's with work. I mean, you have to envision. I mean, why get into something if you think it's going to go bad? And why have negative, like, listen, I'm the worst person when it comes to negative talk. I know that. I wake up in the morning, sick to my stomach, thinking negatively. I've done that. And I know how that makes me feel. And sometimes it's hard, right? You don't have a lot to go off of. You just take a shot. You take a shot in romance. You take a shot with business. You take a shot with I'm going to go live here. I'm going to when I picked up and moved to Florida. And you just have to have this like belief without evidence, which is faith. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have it. You have to say, I believe in myself. I believe in the decision I made, and I'm going to see it through. And if it doesn't work, it's not going to be because of me. And I think that's the biggest thing is like not everything works out. Not every friendship lasts, not every relationship lasts, not every job lasts. You might move somewhere and then move somewhere else. I mean, that's just how it is, but if I know anything about myself, I got to give everything that I possibly can. And I don't believe in too much, Marcus. You love too much, you care too much, you do too much. To me, that's insane. If somebody loved me a lot, I would say thank you. If somebody
Yeah.
gave to me and gave to my life, I would say thank you. If somebody showed up consistently and not infrequently, I would say thank you. So to me, it's like you can't show up for me too much. You can't love me too much. You can't text me too much. You can't be by my side too much. I would have loved for my grandfathers to be here longer than the 6 years that they were in my life. So to me, if you're the type of person that you run from people that love you and care about you and are there for you and are giving to you and investing in you, you're not my people because I only know how to go 110. I don't know how to go anything else. And when somebody asks me to go less, I don't I stop being me. So I kind of just want to tell the world and I want to get your thoughts on it. If
Uh,
too much of a good thing, I just think is crazy.
no, I'm in the same boat. I don't think too much of a good thing is bad. Like I know always say everything is good in moderation.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like, for example, tough love, right? Um, for me in my professional career, there's been times where I wasn't coachable, right? And and that made life harder. But once I allowed to be coached, it came with some tough love. Like, hey, did you control the controllable? Scott Schaefer, one of my defensive coordinators and head coach at Syracuse, that was one of his lines. He said every day,
Yeah.
multiple times a day, control the controllables, right? And I think there's no such thing as too much of anything, like too much, not too much tough love. Like I think people need more tough love. Someone holding you accountable to say, hey, did you do everything? Did you control the controllables, right? Because that's the ultimate form of love for someone to show you, like, hey, I know what you can be, and I'm gonna hold you to that standard, even when you don't want to. And then to your point, like someone reaching out, I mean, hey, like it's not too much. Like I will never get annoyed. I mean, you never know when that person's not going to be there. There's so many people in this world that don't have someone to reach out. So shouldn't take that for granted if there's one person in your family or one friend that texts you or calls you all the time. You
Yep.
should see that as a blessing.
Yep.
Um, and then the last point you mentioned care. Um, care is big because care to me is even when you can provide something for someone, like there's no benefit to them, they're still thinking about you and your best interest. That that's beautiful. And there's no too much of that because in this world is a dog eat dog world. Most people are out for themselves. So if you find a person or a group of people that care for you without it being without it being beneficial to them, give me all of it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I know my friend Ross, who's on the show here a lot, Ross Turetsky. I mean, he's got multiple jobs. He has two kids. He has a dog. He has a wife. And obviously, he's got his family, like his brothers, his sister, his mom, and whatnot, his stepdad. He reaches out to me pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. And then I have another friend that it's like, oh, I got kids and a job, and I can only talk to you once every 2 years, And so I look at that person, I go, I send you love, I send you peace. I want God to be there for you every step of the way, but we're not really friends. Where like Ross, I'm like, that's my guy. Like that's my brother. The other person, I'm like, I knew you. What is my brother Isaac always say to me? He says, I know him, but I don't know him like that. so that's kind of how it is. Like Ross makes it a point. Like I told him, I said, I got a doctor visit coming up. I got to go to this thing, and I don't like going to the doctor. I don't go unless I feel like I need to go. And so when I go, people are like, are you all right? So I was like, I got to go. And he texted me this morning. He was like, I'm hoping everything works out. And it's like having one person that's like, hey, I cared enough to let you know that. Like that means the world to me, and I just feel like that's amazing. So before we get into the Syracuse leadership, I'd love to go to some people in your life, Marcus, that you feel like have been so consistent and give you all that love and all that care and make sure that you know that they're in your corner.
So the list is long. I've been blessed.
Yeah.
So I definitely, as they say in a church, charge it to my head, not my heart. If I miss anyone, and the order I provide their names is not the level of impact. It's just
Yeah.
what's coming to my head right now. So like one person is my Uncle Robert. He's not my blood uncle, but he's been in my life since I was a kid. He is someone that has truly believed in me, even when I was younger. And even during the times I had adversity as a young adult, he was there to remind me of who I was. That's big. My pastor, Hayward Wiggins III, um, he's a big activist in Camden. He went through a lot of adversity in life. And no matter what, I could be in Syracuse, I could be in Massachusetts, I could be anywhere around the world. My pastor is just a call away. And I mean, anytime. It seems like he don't sleep. Like he must got some special connection with God that he don't need to sleep. My mother. So my mother and I think parents, sometimes you're always going to have your challenges, but I do feel like God created my mom perfect for me. So my mom was a math teacher. She's good with numbers, but when it comes to like, she's not going to baby you. So she made me tough. Like my mom was like, hey, you gotta get this done. She's not going to give you a whole bunch of emotions behind it. But that made me who I am today and made me strong. Um, my late grandma, Della Lines. She wasn't my blood grandma because my actual grandma passed away when my mom was 18. And this lady was the next door neighbor, and she said, "Hey, take care of my daughter and her future kids." And she was a blessing. She's the one who instilled faith in me and also showed that love. Like, hey, Marcus, you're gonna do great things. And she spoke that into my life. Um, and then I would just say, as a collective, we call our group HQ. So my roommates from college, my guys, so Darius Kelly, Ron Thompson, Terrell Hunt, Ben Lewis, these guys that I can reach out to, talk to about life things, and they have really helped me through life. So there's a ton of people out there that I probably didn't mention. Oh, one last person. I can't forget this person. So the last person, this is critical because this is he's the reason why I'm in the career I'm in today.
Okay.
So he always tells me now I gotta call him by his first name, Rich, but it's Richard Hocker. He actually paid for me to go to Camden Catholic High School. He owned Penn Capital Management, which was an investment firm, and he gave me my first internship in high school. I was on a fixed income desk, and he has consistently been in my life and really taught me the values and mindset that I needed, even when I wasn't having professional success. Okay, this is what you need to do to get to where you are, where you want to be. And it has been tremendous for me. And he has opened up a lot of doors by the values, the experiences that he shared, and also the mindset that I need to have to be successful in the financial services industry.
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate you sharing that because I mean it's beautiful, right? When we have these people that join us on our path, even even Jesus had Simon, right? I mean, there's somebody that was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you do this, and it's it's awesome. It's awesome to have awesome people in your life. I mean, it's great, and I think I kind of at a loss for words because, like you said, you're over blessed, and I feel the same way. I tell people to this day, I'm 40 years old. My grandfather's passed when I was 6. If you ask me who raised me the last 34 years, I still give them credit. I think about them at least once a day, and I remember things about them, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I love what you said too, because you said like this wasn't my blood, but this is my uncle. This wasn't my blood, but this was my grandma. I don't have any biological siblings, but I got a bunch of brothers, couple sisters, bunch of nieces and nephews, a godson, and I tell people that all the time. And I watch people. If I meet you for the first time and I say, I don't have any biological siblings, but I got 7 brothers, and they go, oh, okay, so you have fake family. If they do that, that's the last time we talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, listen, family is who chooses. I would like when you have blood relatives, they're stuck with you, right? That's what it feels like sometimes. When you have non-blood, they choose to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning when you need to talk. Like they choose to be there. So I think, to me, I was like, I couldn't have chosen better siblings ever. And they've been there and they stay there and they're consistent. They'll talk to you. I was talking to my brother Isaac yesterday for 3 hours, and we were laughing and we were talking serious and we were talking about sports and we are talking about life. I mean, we talked about a little bit of everything, but I'll tell you what, I felt better being on the phone with him. So, I think those moments are huge and they're amazing. And that's what I want this show to be. And that's what I work for this show to be, is it's kind of like everybody gets to watch a phone call between friends, so to speak. And I appreciate the fact that you take the time to speak with me, Marcus, because you've always been good to me. You've always been kind. You've always made time. You've been supportive. And I feel like in a world that focuses on negativity, we need to thank the positive people. So I want to thank you.
Appreciate it, Dan. Same to you. I think it's two optimistic people. We're happy, right? You get to chase our dreams. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be mad when you're doing that, right? And when you see someone else doing it, you want to support it. I can't remember this quote, but it's a quote about people tear down other people because they see them chasing their dreams and they wish they did it themselves.
Yeah.
When you see someone chasing their dreams, you know how hard it is. So a little light, a little check-in, a little love goes a long way.
Yeah.
When you might have been up 24 hours because you're a one-man show trying to get everything done. So yeah, Dan, it's always been great. We have a great friendship, and it's been awesome seeing your journey as you continue just to build that empire.
No, and I appreciate it. And before we get into the Syracuse leadership, I want you to share with everybody what you're doing now and this chapter of your life, and what you're chasing, and why you're happy to be where you're at.
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of things right now, but my main thing is I'm a financial advisor. I help business owners, attorneys, college athletes, guide them through financial decisions via a tax lens to maximize their income, grow their wealth, and protect their assets. That is something that I've been working on. It's crazy to think about. I looked at my resume. I've been in the industry for 13 years, like an old man now. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Get to make a lot of impact there. And then I do a lot of community service. So I sit on a board of Camden Catholic High School. So I really get an insight into how an educational institution um, leverages sports to really help grow admissions and fundraising. So I'm really excited to talk about this conversation because I'm seeing it at the high school level at a private school. And I'm seeing what Syracuse is doing with the current hires, and I'm excited about it. I just feel like these were some great hires that align to the current landscape.
Yeah, and when you look at this, you said you believe that they're aligned. The new chancellor, J. Michael Haney, as well as the new director of athletics, Brian Blair. Your thoughts on these hires for Syracuse University?
I mean, let's start off with the chancellor. He's was in the Whitman School, right? So entrepreneurship was one of his disciplines.
Yeah.
He explicitly stated that the importance of athletics, and a lot of times that gets a little bit blurred depending on the higher education institution. Some leaders believe that when you talk about athletics, you're putting education on a back burner, and it's not true. The fact that he understands, and the analogy I like to use is sports is your porch or your curb appeal. That gets people to stop. That gets people to open the door. The education, what you provide, is what gets them to stay and make it their home. So you need sports because it helps out with fundraising. It gets alumni engaged. It gets visibility. I mean, Notre Dame, one of the reasons why they're known around the United States is because they're one of the first schools that got the TV rights deals. So they were nationally broadcast.
Yeah.
That was significant, and it helped out their enrollment. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm about to go keep running.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing, and I think I mean I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I got to meet them both, and so I'm definitely looking forward to that. What are your thoughts on Jerry McNamara coming home? National champion 2003, the only time Syracuse men's basketball has ever won a national championship. So that being a beautiful thing, and also on top of that being an assistant coach at Syracuse, helping guide Syracuse to multiple trips to the NCAA tournament as an assistant and for them to get back to the Final Four. Then he goes to Siena, turns a 4-28 program into 14-18 and then 23-12, wins the MAC, goes to the NCAA tournament, and is almost the third 16 seed to beat a 1 seed, and now he's back home.
I love the hire, but it reminds me of, say you have a business and your son is the next, or your daughter is the next one up, and they just go to a little bit more, a little tough love. I feel like Jerry's journey was tough love, and he really had to earn it. This was not given to him. He was at Syracuse for many years as an assistant under Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim retires. Tori gets the role. He goes over to Siena, like you mentioned. He turns that program around, and he's still in a battle for Syracuse head coaching job, and he wasn't the first pick.
Yeah.
This just shows you what type of person we just got. Even when he wasn't the first pick, he went out there and put together a master class in coaching against Duke. I know he had to be disappointed. I mean, this is the school he always wanted to coach. He felt this was the perfect opportunity. He did everything right, and he still wasn't picked. And he didn't allow that to distract him. He got those guys rallied, going against a tough Duke team. And Duke this year is a tough team, and out coached them, and he earned that head coaching job. So someone that wants to be at Syracuse, this is his dream school. It wasn't given to him. He faced adversity all the way up to the fourth quarter, fourth inches, as we say in football.
Yeah.
This is someone that is going to be able to build a program in this era because he has a lot of support. The NIL money, I don't think that's going to be an issue now that he's back. And then he's going to develop these athletes.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. Again, something I'm really looking forward to. We got some messages that came in here. Faith Benjamin Gibson said Marcus with a heart. Kevin Gagan, who I know watches and listens from all over the place, he said great interview. And then Eric Kroom said, good morning, fellas. Just tuning in. Great hire for Cuse men's basketball. So before I let you go, Marcus, we're going to play some rapid fire. We can ask each other any topic, any question in the world. You go first, then I'll give you one. We'll go back and forth for a couple. What's your first question?
First question for you. What do you think Syracuse football record is going to be this upcoming season?
Man, I hope for the best. I know the schedule is going to be tough. So, this schedule is not for the faint of heart, I will say. So, I think it depends on, it always depends on health, right? So it depends on health, and it depends on, just being in a good, the team's got to come together. They got to gel, right? There's a bunch of new receivers. Kelvin Russell is out injured. There's a bunch of guys that left. The top 4 running backs are gone. They lost their tight end over the last couple of years. They lost their 2 starting tight ends who, Orlando Gadsden the second went on to the NFL. Dan Villari's working to go on to the NFL in the 2026 NFL draft. So, Angeli being healthy, the backups being better, and all these skill players meshing is huge, as well as the offensive line with guys that are going to be new. A new center because Austin Collins finished up his time. So there's a lot to be said about all of the new on offense to move the ball and score points. And then on defense, you got some guys that have shifted around to different areas. You got Jamie Tremble as a linebacker who came in as a tight end. You have David Amapariola, who's been a DN and he's been a linebacker. So you got him moving to DN. So now he's in that place. And then, your DBs. What are you going to do without Dev Grant? What are you going to do without Deuce? Demetrius Samuel Jr., how's he going to step it up? So there's a lot of question marks on this team. There's a lot of new when it comes to starters, and there's a lot of new when it comes to faces. So, I look at the games that they have, and I think they can win the first couple. Let's say they win 3 of 4. And then I'm looking at some of these other games here, and so if that's the second loss, the third loss, the fourth loss, the fifth loss, yeah, I want to hope they can get to 6-6, but I'm telling you that their road schedule, their home schedule, and the teams that they're playing, this is going to be somewhere between 4-8 and 6-6. I hope I'm wrong, but as far as what I'm seeing and the gelling and all that stuff, I got to be an impartial broadcaster, and I think that this is a really tough schedule.
Look, I appreciate you being impartial. You gave good background to it.
Yeah.
Crazy optimistic. I'm hoping we get eight wins, but like you shared, there's a lot of new. We got to see how the team meshes.
Yeah. Eric Kroom just said, Coleman won the best humans on earth. I know he had some good insight during the interview. I will rewatch the playback, is what Kroom said. So before I ask my question, what do you want to say to Eric Kroom?
So that's big Kroom right there. Kroom, he was on the D-line, played in the NFL, definitely worked me hard. But Kroom, I appreciate it. It's the same thing to him. Kroom is also someone I can reach out to at any time, and he's a great brother, and I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, well, he's awesome. Love you, Kroom. Got to have Kroom back on the show soon. My question back to you, Marcus, if you took over my show for tomorrow and it was Wake Up Call with Marcus Coleman, who are the 3 guests that you would have on the show and why?
First guest is Mike Tirico.
Okay.
I want to talk to Mike Tirico. He's one of the greatest Syracuse alumni, broadcaster, really aligns with the current NIL revenue share. How do you create a brand, right? How do you consistently create a brand to generate self-revenue for yourself? The next person I would want to interview is Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim is one of the greatest basketball minds out there, but also Jim Boeheim is one of the greatest minds there is. I got to interact with him, but just interview him and pick his brain. That'll be great. And then the last one here is I have a bias towards sports. One of the reasons why I committed to Syracuse is Donovan McNabb. I want to know about his time at Syracuse. That team that they had back in the Big East. I mean, that was our heyday, right? Well, I mean, you go farther back, but then also just I mean, what his thoughts on the current environment of college football and the NFL. So that'll be my first three people to hit.
Yeah, I love it. What's your next question for me?
My next question for you is, that's a tough one. Where do you see Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's funny because I challenge myself every day. So to me, it's like to it's weird for me to say like this is what I think in the next five because I know what I'm challenging myself in the next 5 days. And so I always want to grow, which we have. We're setting records in a lot of different areas, and my company's always grown every year, which I thank God for. I get to do what I love. I love what I do. So I think, challenging myself as far as being smart about what I do. We work with almost 20 businesses, and I've tried to be good about not spreading myself too thin. I feel like I get to a point where I'm like, I need to take a break. I need to go on vacation. I need to breathe. So I think, I've done a lot. I appreciate the work that I've done. And, God knows my heart. He knows my will, and he knows what I'm going after. And I'm just trying to align with his will. So the best answer I can give you is I follow him. I trust him. He's brought me to places that I did not anticipate I was going to get to. And I just like making the world small. I like reaching people. I've broadcasted coast to coast, north to south, different countries. So I would say, take me where you want to take me, God, and just know my heart. That's what I would
Mm,
say. Uh, my que-
Preach.
my question my question back to you is, what piece of advice did you maybe get a long time ago that continues to resonate with you today?
So you ended off with faith in your last answer, and I want to say the same thing. So it's in First Corinthians. It's a Bible verse that says, "No matter what you eat or drink or whatever you do it for the glory of God." So for me, whatever I'm doing, even when it's hard, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this for God. So that's putting in and trying to make us perfect. Everything that I do, does it show love? Is it in the best interest of that person? If that's the one advice I would tell people, if whatever you're doing in life, you do it for the glory of God, that's going to make sure your morals are in line. It's going to make sure your intentions are in line. And you even mentioned, you said, God knows my heart. It's going to make sure that your heart is aligned. Because anything that you manifest from that, making the glory for God, it's going to be a blessing unto you and your family, but also it's going to be a blessing onto the people and organizations that you're providing value to.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, I say to God all the time, guide me toward you, guard me from all that is not, and your will over my want. You always hope that you finally get something right. You never know. But, I am the type of person where I'm going to give everything I can. And that's all I know how to do. So, there are things that weigh heavy on your spirit sometimes when you give and it's not appreciated. But you hope that God will guide you in the right direction. And I don't know. I guess the one thing that keeps me going is the faith that he's got my back. I think that's the one thing that keeps me going is saying when I don't know where to go, I just lean in on you and talk to you and hope the best. And he's never failed me. So, I guess that's the one thing that I know.
Yeah, you just said it, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Lean not on your own understanding and allow me to lead your path, right? Life is hard. You're gonna have faith, but you can't trust your own understanding. Some things you're not gonna understand why it's happening, and you're doing it. And I see it. You help me because I see how everything happens for you. Things keep happening, but you always say it every time we talk, trusting in God. I'm just following.
Yeah.
And that's the verse I thought of instantly when you said that was Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6.
Yeah. And there's one that follows me all the time. It's Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. And it doesn't mean do nothing. It doesn't mean like be lazy. It means when you've done all that you can do, stop and trust me.
Mm.
Like I touch that prayer every day because I have a cross in my house that says that. And I just touch it every day. I'm like, hey, when I don't know, you know. And I do. He's like, hey, you did what you could do. You've said what you can say. You got to be still now and you got to let me do my job.
Mm.
And I think like giving everything you can and knowing you've done all you could, you controlled what you could control. And then you just say, all right, God, take over now. And I think that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in my life was to be still. But when I don't know what to do or what to say, I go to him and I say, I've exhausted what I could. Now I trust that you will take it where you need to. And I can say this flat out, and I say it very peacefully and very positively. I would die for God. Without question. There's a story about Columbine where
Yeah.
one of the girls, I think she was in the cafeteria or something, and she was hiding underneath a desk. And one of the shooters went over to her, held a gun to her head, and said, do you believe in God? And she said, yes. And he shot her in the head and killed her. And I think to that moment, I think, if you really do believe in God and you said no and you lived, would you be alive after that moment?
Mm.
Like, your body's here, but would you be in an eternal pain? And, I've been put in places before where I could have been nicer to God. I could have said the right thing. I could have done better. There's times where I feel like, hey, I might have said something to appease somebody in the moment and then got down on my knees and said, God, I don't mean that. I'm here for you. And, but I think one of the peaceful things that I have is like, if God said, go pick up a sword and die on the battlefield in my honor, I'd be like, which field? Where do you want me to go? And I think, I don't know. I feel like there's something in that I feel that for him. That I'm like, if you need me to stand in front of something, I will. If you need me to block somebody from something, I will. I just feel that, and I don't say that in a negative way, and I don't say it in a like I don't appreciate my life. Of course I appreciate my life, but what do they say? There is no greater sacrifice than to give up one's life. And Jesus gave that ultimate sacrifice. So how could I look at him, truly have faith in him, believe in him, if I can't look him in the eye and say, if you want me to do it for you, I would do it.
Mm.
And I feel like I get real selfish sometimes, and I got to look in his eyes and go, you know what? Whatever you want from me. He's given me everything. And everything. And I don't even know how to thank him for the stuff that he's given me in my life. I don't. And I mean, I'm 40 years old, and everywhere I've gotten to go, who I've gotten to interview, what we've reached, how we've reached, the people that work with us, trust me, I can't, I can't even begin to tell him how much I appreciate that. Do I have pains? Yeah, I have pains. Do I have things I worry about? Of course. But I wake up every day and I'm like, I don't have the right to complain. Like you've given me more. You set the table in front of my enemies. You did that. Like you literally put me in front of. He did it as a joke a week ago. He put a bunch of people that talk trash about me right behind me in a room in a row, and they were talking to each other, and I was sitting in front of them. He literally set my table in front of my enemies. And
How it happens.
and he was like, I've done all of this. So when you worry about one thing or like, I feel like every day I wake up, he goes, if you worry about something, I'm going to smack you.
Mhm.
Because everything you've worried about, look at what I've done. There is nothing that has been formed against you that has ever prospered.
Mm.
So I know it's long-winded, but
Nope.
I mean, man,
That's the Holy Spirit right there. I'm never going to stop the Holy Spirit. You're speaking to me. You're speaking to every. Someone needed to hear that message. So no, that wasn't long-winded. That was needed to be shared with the universe, and God was using you in that moment.
yeah. But I want you to have the last word of this conversation. So what would you like to say in closing, Marcus?
I mean, look, it's tough to follow that. Um, what I was saying in closing is as always, I'm truly appreciative and grateful, Dan, that you created this platform to share stories of previous athletes like myself, Rob Conrad, Eric Kroom, Shamarko Thomas, and also the work that you're doing. You can really see that it's a passion, and I can tell that you love God. I mean, what I would end this with is we talked about God a lot here, right? And I'm just going to follow the spirit as well. I mean, if you haven't heard about Jesus, I mean, please reach out to your local church. Doesn't matter what denomination it is. We just came up on Easter, and Dan, what you shared was like you would sacrifice yourself for God, and Jesus did that. He substituted himself for our sins, so we can have everlasting life in heaven, so we could be redeemed and renewed. So, with that being said, I mean, if you don't know Jesus, say reach out to a local church, learn more, get that feeling that Dan and I have. We both are human. We still make mistakes, but we talked about it a lot. It was this common thread. What gets us through this is our faith in God. So if you got big goals, try find out about Jesus and watch a lot of things come true for you.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Marcus Coleman, as always, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your faith. I appreciate your positivity, your good message, and the fact that you've always made time for me. So thank you for everything.
Absolutely. Go Orange, baby.
I'll talk soon.